So you know when you go to a kiddies party and the mom opens the door and she either hasn't slept for 3 days or she's been pre-gaming with a bottle of wine. The entire house has been transformed into a winter wonderland and fake snow is being trampled into every corner of the house. The cake puts your wedding cake to shame and you wonder, what did this production cost? Little Elsa, who's not used to this amount of sugar or people in her space, is in full-blown tantrum mode. Her mom doesn't even notice. She's just snapping away, taking pictures of every little detail and capturing all of her hard work. Smile, honey, this is for Instagram. You can just see that caption. The perfect party for our perfect little girl. You can't get out of there soon enough. As you make your way to the door, the mom leans in. Whoa. Isn't Sarah's party next? And just like that, she handed you the baton. It's your time to run. So you do what any loving, reasonable parent would do. You go home and you start that Pinterest board. I'm your host, Madge, and this is Moments. Have you ever looked at a picture-perfect post on Instagram and thought, am I doing enough? You are definitely not alone, and that's exactly what we're discussing today. Joining me is Vicki Sleet. Hello, Vicki, and welcome to Moments.
Hi, Madge. It's so nice to be here.
Vicki is a mom. She's an ex-magazine hag. She's the business owner of a content agency that started during COVID. She lives in a perpetual state of struggling to juggle and spend way too much time online. She started a blog in 2007 and another one in 2011 and moved to Instagram as her full-time outlet 10 years ago. Vicki, you run your personal brand successfully on Instagram. You have a wonderful, well-blended family of 4 girls, 2 young adults and 2 primary schoolers. How do you find the balance between what you post professionally and personally?
Madge, I'm a chronic oversharer. Like, I'll meet you at a party and within half an hour, you know, like the most inappropriate things. So I have to be careful. And now that our 3rd daughter is 10, she's like, let me look at that first. She makes me delete stuff. I've got to check with my husband. Often he says, great, so you look amazing and I look like a troll. So my family really does help me to curb things a little. Otherwise, I think we'd be in trouble.
Okay, that's very interesting. Because as parents, we do find ourselves in this little pressure cooker of what social media has become. How do you think social media changed the way we experience parenting?
Madge, that's a great question. So the way social media supports me in parenting is that I feel a shared experience with a lot of people. There's some amazing accounts who I follow who I can really relate to, the hilarity, the absolute parenting fails, the, oh my goodness, am I ever going to make it to Friday stuff. But then there's also the other side, the hyperbolized, sanitized, obsession with perfectionism, are you doing enough, which I think it can be really dangerous.
So what do you think it is about social media that's constantly making us feel like we're falling short?
I think as parents, as people in a really hectic world, we are almost designed nowadays to feel triggered by not being good enough. And I think the hooks that people use for you to watch their content are diving straight into that. So it's the 5 ways to see if your child is unhappy, or 5 things you should be doing for a more organized home. Or it's those kind of things that it's working, we're watching it. So we need to build up some resilience around scrolling on by if you know that that is something that's gonna trigger you.
Absolutely, Vicki, you're so right. And the impact it has on our mental health and our self-worth, it's just not worth it in the end.
I absolutely agree with you. You know, I think I'm in a weird position because our 2 older girls, you know, there was no social media. And now I've got 2 littles, and there's so much social media. So I think I'm lucky that I have some perspective. I know that if I'd had my kids only in this social media age, I think I might have been a little bit more sucked in than I am. That sounds ironic. I'm on social media. I do create content, especially around parenting or around parenting hacks or home hacks and what have you. So I think where I'm lucky is that we've got 2 girls in their 20s and 2 littles. So the girls in their 20s, there was no social media. We had to do it on our own, and we had to find our tribe of people who we trusted and people who we related to and people who were safe. As parents, as women, struggling, we often wake up and feel less than. We feel like we're not doing a great job with our kids. We've snapped at them. We've snapped at our husband maybe. We're aware of those things. The next thing you know, you see a post that says, how do you know you're destroying your child for the future? And you're like, you look at it. Then the algorithm's going to take you down that rabbit hole, and it's just going to reiterate those really quite destructive feelings. So I think we need to be building more resilience around not going down the rabbit hole, about remembering who we are, why we became parents, what we want for our kids, and that does mean more time offline.
And the comparison trap that social media actually creates, where you see, oh my word, that mom has it all, or they're going on holiday again, or look what their kids get in their lunchboxes, and then you feel less than. Why do you think parents, and especially moms, are so prone to comparison?
You know, it's an interesting one, and it's one that I think about a lot, because myself, as a young teenager, I never felt like enough. I felt that everyone was better, thinner, richer. You know what I mean? And it was something that I carried with me into my 20s, and I had to work really, really hard, therapy, to actually try and put a lid on that stuff and to focus more inwards as to what I do have. And I think many of us carry those feelings of, oh my goodness, you know, she's doing that. Like you said, so-and-so is going on holiday, her lunchbox is so much better than mine. And social media is not allowing us to put a lid on it. It's almost just blowing open this can of worms, and it's a runaway train that we haven't built up reserves to bring back again. And I think we owe it to ourselves to work harder to bring it back. I love looking at those crazy lunchbox people whose children have
and it's like on theme.
Totally.
Valentine,
I love it.
or whatever it's like.
But it's voyeuristic. I mean, my husband teases me. He's always like, you're doing all these posts on organizing. Do they know the truth? Do they know? Which is why recently I've actually been doing a campaign actually showing the chaos. Because it's like everybody, my drawers descend into chaos, and then I want to show people that it's possible. Before, it would have been like, here's my hyper-sanitized perfection. But it's fake, and it's dangerous, and it's not fair to each other.
I totally agree. Because especially as working moms who don't have the time, who's away from home like 8 to 10 hours if you count in the commute, it's almost impossible to sustain that.
Totally. Yeah. It's totally unrealistic. We need to be more real. We need to support each other, be more real. And ultimately, if you're following those channels that are making you feel less than, that's a mean girl kind of a situation, like
Definitely.
A virtual mean girl thing. And yeah, see it for what it is. I find it very soothing to look through those channels of perfect things. I just know that I aspire to it.
Yeah.
But
it's not real.
Yeah.
What role do you think influence and brands play in these expectations?
Oh my goodness, I love this question. I love this question because I've worked on both sides of the field, as in briefing influencers on the kind of content that we would love, as in creating stuff. And to my point earlier, when I said I do create content around, for example, organizing, but now I'm going to show what the reality is as well. I'm not going to say, oh, this is what I did and this is how I live. And I think, amazing studies have come out recently about the fact that people want authenticity. Hypercuration it's not going out the window, but more and more people are wanting to connect on a really, really real level. And I think there is a move for brands to take that on board, and I love it, and I'm here for it. And yeah, long may that last, and long may it grow. Because for our kids, we want when our kids do get online, we want them to be able to differentiate between what's real and what's not.
Absolutely. I love what you're saying, and I really hope that trend is will pull through.
Yeah, I mean, with Charlie, so she's my 10-year-old, as you know. Charlie loves looking over my shoulder. I don't want her to be on screens, but I mean, sometimes she and I do go down the rabbit hole together. And I often have to say to her, it's not real. So then I'm like, okay, so it's a chance for a conversation to say, look at this, look how they live. Okay, look at it. And she's like, yeah, Mum, I wish we could be more. And I'm like, I promise you it's not real, babe.
Yeah. So my 5-year-old will be like, why is our house smaller than one of her friends? And I'm like, where are you getting this? Yeah. Which kind of brings me to my next question, beyond social media, what other pressures are there on parents today that make us feel like we are not living up to the expectations?
Okay, I love this question because my kids are at a school where there is a huge focus on children loving chickpeas. And I'm kind of allergic to that. I feel quite strongly about this the nutritional component of mom comparisons. The hair's actually standing up in the back of my neck as I say that. I feel like it's a hyper-privileged thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's some nutrition shaming happening. There's this obsession around, are your kids having gluten? Are they having this sugar? My kids on a holiday, when I say, how was your holiday? They say the best part was that we had a Fanta. Fabulous. I find my kids are not going to want to eat chickpeas. Yeah. So I find that I'm just allergic to it. I can't be I can't be pretending my kids want that.
And sometimes when I pack lunchboxes and I think oh my gosh, this teacher is going to judge me for adding a Mari biscuit.
Totally. Yeah.
And that's not right.
Yeah, I think it's so balanced. It needs so much more balance that we need to give each other more space to be who we are with less judgment. And it's something I feel quite strongly about. I also the nutrition thing really pushes my buttons because for me it is a lot about privilegedness, I should say. And just allergic to it.
So here's a question that I think about all the time. Do parents today have it harder than previous generations?
I know my mom looks at me and goes, you're so busy. And my parents were busy. My mom worked 12-hour night shifts. We had one car. They were constantly trying to figure out ways to get us to and from school. I think where we're different is that they had the tools they had. So my parents, for example, I'm older than you. My mom is turning 88 this year. So she was born in the war. They came out of massive austerity. They were literally trying to survive. They didn't have many tools. Their parents had been Victorian, so there was no inward looking at how happy your child was. They did the best they could.
Yeah.
I think one of the issues is not a word, the scourge of our generation is that we're such navel gazers. Vanessa Raffaele, who you and I used to work with, had such a great term for the way her parents parented called benign neglect. Let them fall over, and when there's blood, come to you. Yeah. I just feel like we're so hyper obsessed with things that we actually just also need to let go a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely agree because I feel like that pressure of always being with each other, and I kind of go into helicopter parenting, although I don't want to, because I don't agree with the way they're playing.
Yeah, no, totally.
What's that?
Totally.
Our parents didn't care how we played.
Totally.
They didn't even know where we were.
Exactly. My husband, he's always just leave them. I'm like, they're going to get hurt. He's like, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think we really are trying to control a lot, and it's to our detriment and to their detriment, to be perfectly honest.
Definitely, because they don't have that freedom or independence.
Totally. They need to eat the dirt. Let them eat the dirt.
Yeah, I agree. So having said all of this, the important part of our conversation today is finding balance and reframing perfection. How can we break free from this comparison cycle that we find ourselves in?
We need to be real. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
It's why are we trying to say she's perfect, and my life's perfect. Why? We are a tapestry of our lives. Our families are a tapestry of our experiences, and why do we want to be the same? We don't want to be Stepford wives. We don't want to be Wisteria Laners. Like, let's own who we are, be authentic, say when we need help, say when we're not coping. I think there's a lot of that we're not. Yeah, sure, we'll share with our closest, but maybe if you actually shared with somebody who you're waiting outside the classroom for their kid, maybe you're their lifeline. And they needed to hear that because they're living in a place where they're thinking, oh my God, everybody, if only everybody knew. I just think we need to be more real about it.
Like sharing your struggles as well as your triumphs.
Absolutely, but there's a balance.
Yeah.
Because I have to say that I find it really disconcerting when I see posts about people like crying or it's just like a little bit much. I mean, that's terrible that I'm saying that people should be editing themselves, but yeah, I suppose let's get vulnerable with each other. Let's be real. Let's stop trying to pretend that we're this perfect persona, because we're not. We're fallible.
I think there is a magic in vulnerability.
100%.
If Brené Brown taught us one thing, that's the thing I'll take from her.
So let's bring in our favorite podcaster, Mel Robbins.
Of course.
About just letting them. If people want to be dressing, I mean, if you could see what my children look like from the age of 18 months when Charlie decided I wasn't dressing her anymore, let them. Like, yes, some mummies are going to be able to get their child into a beautiful dress and shiny shoes.
I definitely can't do that.
No. And, okay, but I'm not going to be, I can't. I took where did I take Ava the other day? She was barefoot. I mean, there's a part of me that was dying that we went into a restaurant, and then I was like, okay.
Getting Sarah in a dress even for like a formal thing or like going out or something, it's impossible.
Totally.
She wants
Mine
to
actually,
wear.
when I say put on something smart, they're like, but this is, no, you don't get it. But who am I trying to impress? That's the point. Who am I trying to maintain a healthy, respectful bond with my child? Or am I trying to show everybody, look how, you know.
That's so true, Vicki, and I really needed to hear that today because I am fighting that fight to get her into cute dresses.
I know, and
I'm not winning.
Ava's wardrobe is so beautiful. We've got the most beautiful hand-me-downs of beautiful clothes from New York. Not interested.
Yeah, no.
And I can see my mom, if we go somewhere and Ava's barefoot, she's like, huh? Because, I mean, my parents
I do hear my mom's voice in my head a lot when it comes to those things. Like there's the part of me that wants to impress, but there's also the part of me that wants to do it proper. Like that.
Absolutely.
You have to be proper, and it's like finding a balance between that and, like you said, maintaining an actual relationship with the child.
Completely. I mean, if I think, my poor parents, Madge, I used to take my clothes off in church on a Sunday. That's
funny.
I mean, it's like my poor parents. I know they had to go through a lot with me because I was just climbing the walls, and they actually did pick a lot of their battles.
Okay.
And maybe that is the thing as well. We're going totally off piece, but I'm enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, so am I. So, Vicki, what practical steps can parents take to set healthier boundaries when it comes to social media?
Did you plant this question? Because you know how badly I need it. Okay, Madge, I'm terrible. I have a callus over here from holding my phone from scrolling. I'm really bad. And I can see how my 10-year-old she's wanting to look when I'm scrolling.
Ready,
We've got a very similar aesthetic. I've got to stop it. I literally have got to. So now, my husband and I speak about it all the time, how we need to leave our phones out of the bedroom. We did it once last week. Okay. So we've got to do it by modeling. We have got to, And again, when and if they start with screens, we've actually said to our kids 16 is when they will get a smartphone. Let's see if we manage to stick to it. We signed one of those pacts. I don't know if you've seen the pacts that are going around.
I need to get one like that because my child heard somewhere, wait till you're 8. And he's 8 in June and I don't see it happening.
So there's an amazing pact that you can sign, it's for a smartphone-free childhood.
Okay.
But the problem is I'm not exactly modeling because I'm obsessed with my smartphone. So anyway, back to the point is that modeling, definitely, setting parameters, and then really working very hard before they hit the smartphone age to explain between reality and what's not real, and to monitor.
So when we talk about setting an example and healthy boundaries when it comes to social media, how can we teach our kids what's the difference between reality and carefully curated content?
I love this question because it really does go more than limiting screen time. I think it's up to us to really work a little bit harder about understanding what's real and what's not, understanding that someone's monetized their personal brand, they're making money off it, and if it's not the healthiest content, you're feeding that beast. Maybe looking for healthier content to consume, and understanding that often you're watching an actress in a play. You're part of the audience, and it's how much you would like to participate and amplify their messaging in your own life. I think we need to almost adult up a little bit in these scenarios and put some checks and balances in personally, rather than imprinting this perfectionism that we're seeing. I really think, we're expecting this of our children. So why are we stopping expecting it of ourselves?
That's so good.
Wasn't
Oh
it?
my word. If someone's listening today and they feel like they're falling short, what is your message to her?
If someone feels that they're falling short, I'll tell her to take themselves off social media for a day, to take themselves into nature, and to really have a good look at what their week has looked like, at the people they have touched, at the people they have engaged with, at the people they have loved, the work that they have done, the projects that they're busy with, and to remind themselves there's a lot more to them than what's happening behind a screen. And then when they next do decide to go online, is to really actively follow people who feed you. I've made a point. I unfollow people whose messaging is negative, or has got some less than stuff in it. And I'm really that's one of the things I've done this year. I think I've unfollowed over 1,000 people this year.
That's incredible.
Because in the early days of Instagram, I just followed everything.
Yeah.
And I'm really wanting to make a concerted effort to just remove myself from the negativity and to really work on your internal world. Because if we're not working on our internal world and constantly on the external, we know it's going to win.
Absolutely. And for me, it's when a child runs into my arms or whispers, "I love you, mommy," or when they're in distress and all they want is you, that kind of is what sets the standard for my success as a mother, not someone else's curated content.
100%. I mean, I think for myself, my major challenge, and is to be present, because I struggle with it. It's a lot. You're holding your own emotional stuff. You're holding your kids. Your husband comes home and he wants to chat. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
To be present and to really activate that being presentness, if that's the way to say it. And then but interestingly, I feel my anxiety lower.
Yeah.
So if I'm like, right, let's play a game of Rummy Cub, I can just feel my anxiety dissipating. So I think we need to be remembering that so much more.
I couldn't agree more. I also feel like when I'm at the most peace, it's when I sit and watch my child play, or when we sit and we're engaged in the same thing, where I'm not like cooking while they're doing something, or having a conversation about something while we're driving, or when we're all just in the same space doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many studies around that if you sit down on the floor, our children are young enough still for us to be doing that, but if you sit down with them and engage in something that's only, like you said, only about that activity, that level of connection and bonding is so priceless. It really is.
So this conversation is far from over. I mean, it actually unfolds. We're living through it. But
We really are.
I'm so grateful that you came to chat to me about it today.
Magical. You know how much I love you, and you know how excited I am for this whole podcast journey for you.
Thank you, Vicki. And that brings us to the final 5. Vicki.
Yep.
The final 5 are the last 5 questions, and it's not about the theme.
I love these questions.
I will be asking every guest on my podcast the same 5 questions, and it's a little bit more personal. So, which part of your human experience, or as I like to call it, your HX, has been changed the most by being a mom?
You know, the biggest thing for me was the chance to be gentler with my mom. So I was a revolting teenager and quite an angry 20-something, and I just wasn't very nice. It was a little bit of a fractured relationship, and having children made me realize, wow, okay, she did the best she could.
Yeah.
And it's softened me. It's softened me in a huge way, and it's made our relationship amazing. And I actually feel quite tearful just saying that. I'm so grateful for it.
That's amazing, Vicki. Thanks for sharing that. So looking back at your parenthood journey, what would you do differently?
I brought it up earlier. What I do differently in my parenting journey is be more present.
Okay.
So for the first 1,000 days of Ava's life, I was really ill. You remember when we worked together. And I carry a lot of guilt. I mean, I'm glad I'm alive and I'm here.
Yeah, of course.
But I carry a lot of guilt around her. It was a very fractured first 1,000 days. And I'm actually quite actively trying to almost, in some ways, rebaby her in a lot of ways. Like, she loves to come and lie on my chest if she's feeling overwhelmed, and I'll often just rock her and whatever.
Okay.
And I think I know it's good for her, but it's also good for me.
Yeah.
Like it's
almost like
it's
that
healing.
kangaroo therapy.
Yeah, I really find it quite healing. So yeah, it's something I can't change.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Listen, it was COVID when my kids were babies, so there's a ton of things I never saw coming, and the way my mental health was affected in that period.
Absolutely.
So when I think of the baby phase, especially for Sarah, she was a few months old when hard lockdown started.
Right.
There were so many things that I thought would happen that never did. So I think having grace with ourselves is definitely...
Yeah, that's a lovely point. Exactly that. We need to give our children grace, ourselves grace. Absolutely. Yeah. And we need to be teaching our kids that as well, to give each other and themselves and other people grace, because everybody is a hugely complex human who is juggling enormous complexities themselves.
Absolutely, yeah. What are you most grateful for in being a mom?
Okay, the enormous love. So I was on the fence. You know, we got married when I was 35, and I knew I wanted kids, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm too scared. And so for 5 years, I was a stepmom, and that was going well, but obviously we would have the girls for 50-50. And then when it came to when we decided, it happened incredibly quickly when I was 40 for my 10-year-old. And nothing prepared me for that love. Nothing. And I did have I had a postnatal anxiety. I was climbing the walls, but still that intensity was life-changing. There's that enormous love when a baby's born. It's radical. And then I remember on the day that Ava was born, we were driving into the theatre. I was being wheeled into the theatre, and I kept on saying to my husband, I don't know how to feel. What am I feeling? It was like an out-of-body experience. And when people say your heart doubles, I know that you will relate. Yeah. It really, really does. Yeah. It's radical.
Yeah. I remember feeling anxious when I was pregnant the second time. Like, I will always have a favorite because I love this first one so much. How will I ever love the second one the same way? And it's like you have another heart, like you have two hearts, and they are equally full of love.
I do know that you were worried that you weren't going to love your dog. Or that you weren't going to love the children as much as your dog.
Yeah. That's so funny, because now it's like, did anyone see the dog?
Has anyone seen it for the last 6
Do we still have a dog? I'm being called out on our little street WhatsApp group so much because then he's running around in the street and I didn't even notice.
It's not even benign neglect, it's neglect.
No, absolutely. And I was obsessed with him. I brought him to work.
And the other thing I'm most grateful for in my mom journey, oh my goodness, I'm not Mother Teresa, But in learning to give myself grace, in learning to give friends grace, I hope that somehow, I'm teaching my children that they owe themselves grace and others. Like, I sound like such a Mother Teresa.
That's beautiful.
But I really I work hard, and like everyone say, "And so was so mean today." I'm like, yeah, but maybe, and it's actually not who my personality is. Do you know what I mean? I have to work hard at it, and I really do hope somehow it's penetrated. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
We will see.
So the next question is an interesting one, because I don't know if I'm not doing it because my kids are still small, but what are you telling your kids about parenting?
Okay, I love this one actually. So number one, I tell them that parenting them is my absolute joy, and that I prayed for them, and that they're like, I can't believe how lucky I am. But I'm real. I tell them that it's hard, and I tell them that I need to recalibrate, and that sometimes I'll go away on my own for a night, or no, you're not coming with me to the shops.
Yeah.
'Cause right now the shops feel like a holiday.
Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, I'm honest, and I'm also honest that I'm learning, and that I'm gonna mess up. And that I'm not going to get it right.
Like I apologize to my kids sometimes, and I don't remember being apologized to once.
Never.
Growing up.
No.
I don't want to have unfair memories, but I think our generation, the kids are much more included in how we feel.
100%. I mean, I love that, because he always teases me that you don't love to say sorry, do you? I'm like, it's really hard.
It really is.
It's really hard, but I don't mind saying sorry to them.
Yeah.
Especially if I've lost it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not proud of it.
And normalizing apologizing.
Totally.
For the next generation is also important.
Yeah, I wonder if we find it hard to say sorry because we weren't said sorry to. It's not our fault, you see.
Yeah. What is your North Star when it comes to making parenting decisions?
I love this question so much. I'm a child of quite authoritarian parents, and there's quite an authoritarian part of me that I've got to like chill out on. So I try to think about the short-term gains and the long-term values. And by that I mean like saying yes to the small stuff. You don't want to wear your shoes to the restaurant, you look like a total scolly. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it is a pick your battles, but it's also like it's important to her in that moment. Okay. But like in terms of the long-term values, things like I do want them to work for stuff. I very rarely will just go to the toy store for my kids. Like they've got to have worked towards something. It goes on the very, 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 very long birthday list. So I try and balance between a long-term value of that will hopefully stick with them, and a short-term little dopamine hit. Don't we all want those?
Yeah, we do.
So I'll give them sweets when I pick them up from school.
Yeah.
We're not going to be having chickpeas as a little snack.
No. I can tell you one thing, and we never have chickpeas as snacks.
Totally. But it's about balance. Yeah, I'm happy to say no. You had sweets earlier, so no.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of
finding balance.
Absolutely. And actually, he's going to love this. Listening to my husband more on stuff.
Okay.
Because his perspective, it can't all be my perspective. And relying on him to go, or they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like, just let them go on the sup. They'll be absolutely fine. So, we can't all do it alone. We don't have to.
No, we really don't. And that's what Moments is all about. Vicki, thanks so much for joining me. I had so much fun chatting to you, and all the best.
And to you.
Thank you very much.
What a wonderful podcast. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. So the next time you scroll on Instagram and you see this picture perfect parenting post, just keep it real. Don't feel that you're falling short or that you're not good enough, because Mom, you really, really are. We're all doing what we can with what we have, and what you see on social media is not always real. Bye.
I was told to sleep when my baby sleeps. Sibu says at 6 months, baby should be sitting up.
The group chat says their babies sleep through the night.
They say it's important to show control at all times.
Sometimes I wish away the tough times.
Yo, but sometimes I wish I could relive them again and again.